Good morning, voiceover friends. How are you guys doing? Good to see you. Bill Deweese here, pro voiceover talent, and for the time being, voiceover coach. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the comments in the live chat. If you haven't had a chance yet, check in on the chat. Just let me know where you're watching and listening from this morning. We'll do some shout outs. I hope you guys are doing well. The other day, well, it's been, I guess, about a week ago, I was a featured guest on the Making Waves podcast with my friends Kevin Kirkpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Kevin, I've known for forever. He actually he hired me for voiceover, but he was doing some casting back in 2005 when I first got started. He was one of the first people to hire me. And then Bobby, I got to know while living in Cincinnati. But I was a guest on the podcast, and an interesting question came up, and it had to do with success, about making it in voiceover. And I forget exactly how the question was asked. And by the way, I've put a link to the podcast episode below in the description. So if you want to check out the entire episode and interview, you can check it out there. But it was something along the lines of being a voiceover coach and marketing your services as a coach, and charging for those services, knowing that not everybody is not everybody's going to succeed. I don't think that's not exactly how they said it, but that's kind of where the conversation was going. And believe me, this is a conversation I've had with my wife a number of times over the year, because I take it personally. Anybody who hires me for voiceover coaching, I want more than anything else for them to succeed, and I'll do what I can, to make that happen. I learned long ago, though, the reality is most people, let's forget voiceover for just a second. Generally speaking, most people don't finish things that they begin. You think about over the course of your life. I remember back in my college professor days. How many people finish their the major they started? Well, I think about 85% changed their major. Then how many actually finished school? When I was as a business consultant, I came to the harsh, realization that about 85% of small businesses don't make it past 5 years. The reality of life is many, if not most people, don't succeed at the things that they try. So eventually they'll land on something. So it might be the first thing doesn't work, maybe the second, maybe even the third or fourth before they get to the thing that they really find that works. I guessed on the podcast interview that maybe 80% of people who get into voiceover don't succeed. So for that reason, should I not be a coach? No. As a matter of fact, I want to make sure that success percentage is as high as it can be. But I think we need to go more deeply into why is it? What can you do to ensure that you succeed? So that's what I want to talk about today. I think this is, again, one of those heart-to-heart discussions that we need to discuss while I'm still around. What I mean, still around, meaning still on the channel. Uh, the first thing, and this is probably a smaller minority, some people get into it and realize I don't like it. I just don't like it. It's not what I thought it would be. Not that interested, and that's fine. And we do that all the time in a lot of different things. So a certain number are just they're going to move away because it's like, I tried it. I don't think so. Another one, and this is a bigger group, really get caught by this idea going around in their head that they're not good enough. That's what Bana Parker was talking about in her most recent training, which, by the way, you need to go check out on mindset, because it's something that everybody, you, me, Mike Hafko, we all deal with this voice in our head. And it doesn't matter how long you've done this. It will always be around. Our job is to make it as quiet as we possibly can. But you don't think for a second that voice is still not in my head that says, what do you think you're doing? And I've done this for almost 20 years. It's just part of being a performer. I don't care if you're an actor or a musician. I think it's just something that performers have to deal with. But a lot of people succumb to that voice early on. They just convince themselves. They listen to other people. They compare themselves, and they think that has to do with vocal quality. And they just or they just think they don't have enough talent, and so they quit. That's probably a big, maybe the vast majority of people who quit. It might be for that very reason. A lot of people hear all the voices out there on the internet, and they think, well, because of everything they hear, they think, well, it must be about the gear. If I spend enough money on equipment, the right microphone, the right processing, the right computer, that's what it is. And so they spend untold amounts of money doing that, realizing it doesn't get them any further down the road. Or, if you just if you get an agent, then that's it. You've arrived. No. And I've told you guys this a number of times. The first agent that hired me, I've never booked a job from. And that was back early in my career. And again, nothing wrong with having an agent. That's not my point. The point is that's not the answer to being successful in voiceover and all the other things that you hear told, the things that you should or you shouldn't do. And then we come down to, and I think this is where we really got to get our head straight, aside from the idea that thinking we're not good enough. And that is thinking like an employee instead of a self-employed person. And that's really, I think, where I've spent a lot of my time as a voiceover coach, helping people make that shift from thinking like an employee. And there's nothing wrong with thinking like an employee if you're an employee. But if you want to make the switch to be a voice actor, what a lot of people don't realize is that that's a completely different mindset in terms of how you operate, how you work in the world. And being self-employed is way different than being an employee. It requires the ultimate of self-responsibility. You can't blame things. You can't spend your energy blaming things like the economy, about what somebody else is pricing for their voiceover work, or whatever. You could come up with a litany of things of reasons why you can't succeed. You don't have that luxury when you're self-employed. You got to figure out solutions. It requires a tremendous amount of discipline, and a lot of people just can't bring themselves to do that. It requires a great amount of tenacity because you've got to learn the tech end of this thing. In addition to the performance skills, you've got to learn the tech part. You've got to learn to, if you're, maybe you're of certain age where you have not even messed with computers. You've got to learn to operate a computer. You have to learn how to record and edit audio. You've got to learn to be your own agent, which means you have to learn marketing skills. And then you have to have the tenacity to stick with it and do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again till you think you're going to go nuts because you feel like you're just beating your head against a rock, until finally things begin, because you begin to understand the law of numbers. And that eventually, if you do all the right things, that things will begin to move, and then you'll begin, it's like a snowball that gains momentum, and then it will gain momentum. And there are ups and there are downs. COVID, I mean, my gosh, it certainly had an effect on my business. And, I'm still working on trying to get back to where I was at pre-COVID. That's life. And if you're an employee, you're affected you get downsized or you get fired. But if you're the person in charge, you got to figure it out or go try to find a job and just get out of that whole thing, because a lot of people, frankly, just can't handle that. They're not mentally prepared, or don't have the wherewithal. And by the way, I don't mean that as a negative thing, but you're at a place in your life where you're just not willing to invest that kind of energy. And those of you who've been doing this for any amount of time, and I know a lot of you have been, it requires, especially early on, to get that ball moving. It's like trying to move a boulder. That's what it feels like. And of course, you can't see what's on the other side of it, which makes it even more difficult. So being self-employed, forget voiceover for a second. Being self-employed is a very unique thing compared to how the majority of the world operates as an employee. And it does require, you can't just phone it in. You can't just punch in the morning, spend your time and punch out and expect to get a paycheck. It doesn't work that way. And because of that, I think it's far more exciting and it's far more rewarding. And that's why I choose to do this. And that's why I encourage people to get involved in voiceover. That's why I coach them in voiceover, because there is nothing more fulfilling. And the upside, when you're an employee, there's pretty much a limited upside. You know what that upside is. When you're in voiceover, there's no prescribed limit to what you can do. Now, of course, it's limited by what you're willing to do. But I love the fact that I could make so much more money in voiceover than I've done in anything else in my life. It's been amazing. Even with COVID, it's still far and above better anything than I've ever done in my life. And I love it. But you've got to deal with those things, understanding that there's mindset involved, understanding that there's things you're going to have to learn, responsibilities you're going to have to take on that maybe you don't find all that exciting at first, especially at first. But that's what it takes to succeed in voiceover. And I'm not trying to talk you out of voiceover. What I'm trying to say is this is the reality of building a business. I think it's the most rewarding thing in the world. I think it provides the opportunity for personal growth more than anything else in the world. And if you're willing to put yourself in that environment and work through it, I think the rewards are far better than you can possibly imagine. And I think everybody, whether they make it their life path or not, I wish everybody at some point in their life would dedicate a certain amount of time to doing that, because I think the benefits, the personal growth, uh, again, what you can gain even financially and all the other areas of life by doing that are amazing. I think everybody should experience that. That's what it takes. And again, if you want to hear more of me talking about all that kind of stuff, there's a link below in the description for that podcast interview, and you can check it out. But again, I want to. This isn't, believe it or not, I'm trying to encourage you. I'm trying to help you understand that if you can identify these things, if you can identify, say, oh, that's what it is. Yeah, I'm discouraged. Yeah, I feel like I'm the least talented person out there. But that's just the way it works. Everybody feels that way at some point. If you understand that that's just the way the game is played, and your job is to keep moving forward in spite of all of these things that tell you, maybe you shouldn't be doing this, then you've got a really good chance of making things work. And there has been nothing more gratifying in my life than seeing the number. I mean, watching a lot of people succeed in voiceover, and being able to leave their jobs, those who want to leave their jobs. I have a student in the voiceover blueprint who wrote me the nicest email recently, just a really great guy who has a job that he loves, doesn't want to leave it, but he makes more money in voiceover on a part-time basis. And he said it's changed his family, it's changed his life. There's nothing better than that. And I want you guys to be on that side of the ledger. I want you to be on the success side of the ledger, and you can be, but you have to come to grips with these things that I'm talking about and be willing to take them on as a challenge. Make a game out of it. Is it hard? Sure, sure, anything worthwhile. There's work involved, right? But there's nothing more rewarding as well. And so I just want to encourage you to keep moving forward and keep moving onward and upward. Okay, with that said, let's check in on the live chat and see what's going on. John from Denver. Always good to see you in the morning, John. Nephi, what's going on in Knoxville? Aaron checking in from Linden, Washington. We got Mark in cold, sunny Montreal. Jim in wet Memphis. Terry in Falston, Maryland. Great subject this morning. Thank you, Terry. Hey, Jason, what's happening in Kearney, Nebraska? Eddie in rainy San Antonio. Ethan, good morning to you in Toronto. Sorry to see you go, Bill. We'll miss you. Thank you, Ethan. I'll miss you guys as well, for sure. GS, good morning to you in Longview. Ron, Coast Guard City, USA. Mandy in Chester Springs, PA. Mandy, thank you for the kind words. Rocky, good morning to you in Rocky Top, Tennessee. VO just won't be the same on Monday. Thank you, Rocky. I certainly appreciate it. Edward, good morning from cold, sunny New York City. We got Tucson checking in. Becky from the Mitten. Sarah, what's going on in Franklin, Tennessee? James, hey, Bill, you rule. It for sure will not be the same without you, pal. Thank you, James. Hey, Jim, good morning in Grable, Indiana. Zach in Fargo. Vince in sunny Palm Bay, Florida. You'll be missed. You'll have to check in periodically like Bob Barker used to on The Price is Right. Thank you, Vince. Kathleen in Evanston, Wyoming. David in Hamilton, Ontario. Kirk in Greenville, South Carolina. Adrian in Birmingham, Alabama. Rick in St. Paul. Andrew, Latvia. Professor Tracy, how you doing in Rochester, Minnesota? Jay King in Atlanta. Wayne, Port Orchard, Washington. Sandra, Dallas, Fort Worth. Sandra, thank you. I'm going to miss you too. Marla, good morning to you in Texas. Hey, Tim, what's happening in Altoona? Jolie in Minnesota. Jolie, I received your gift yesterday. Jolie sent me Michigan cherry coffee, and it's a brand. I forget the brand off the top. No, I think it's called the Beanery. Is that it? It, in my opinion, is the best Michigan cherry. It's better than the Meyer Michigan cherry coffee. It is so good. And the note you wrote in that meant so much to me and Vicky. And I just want to thank you for that, Julie. It was so, so very thoughtful of you to do that. And I appreciate you. I know you've been around the voiceover blueprint for a long time, and I'm really proud to see the work you've done. Julie's a great example of somebody who's had to struggle with really a lot of the things that we're talking about, as we all do. And I'm only aware of it because she's in the blueprint, and we've talked about this a number of times over the years. Jolie has continued to push forward past the discomfort, past the difficulties, and continues to gain success in voiceover. And Jolie, I just want to encourage you to keep moving forward, and I know you will. Brian in San Antonio. John in Rhinebeck, New York says, thank you, Bill, for all your insights these past few years. Ring the bell for yourself. Thank you, John. And by the way, John sent me this bell over the holidays. It's a nice one. This is the one I got myself. That's weak. That's a lame, cheap bell. That's substantial. That's some serious bell right there. Robert, good morning to you in Atlanta. That was a great podcast. I'm working with Mike Cathcode on Pro Demos. Prepare for Blastoff. Fantastic, Robert. Glad to hear that. Nancy in Yankton, South Dakota. We've got the Spider checking in from South Korea. What's going on? Andrew, good morning, Bill. Happy Thursday from sunny Devon in the UK. Good to hear from you, Andrew. Emmy in Phoenix, going to miss you, Bill. Thank you. Gonna miss you too. Joe says happy Thursday and all to all, Bill and all from Joe in the UK. Hey, Joe, always good to see you in the thumbs up. Rusty, good morning from the UP of Michigan. Going to miss you, Bill. Your words have been most inspiring. Thank you, Rusty. Hey, Christopher, it's Chris in Houston. Joy in sunny Southfield, Michigan. Lucia says, good morning, beautiful day here in Minnesota. Just got my first audiobook offer yesterday. That is the sweet sound of voiceover success right there. Congrats, Lucius. So glad to hear that. Let's see. It's Cape Cod checking in. We got Brian in Atlanta. What's going on, Brian? Spencer from Damp, Houston. Buddy says, good morning, Bill. Will you still be offering monthly webinar or private VO coaching, or will Mike be handling that? Well, all things to the blueprint, Mike will be handling. If you guys want to contact me individually, you can. Again, I'm not promoting this. But if there's something, you can always reach out to me personally at bill@billdeweese.com. Karen, what's going on in LA? Jason, the difference between success and failure, victory or tragedy, is where you stop the story. Oof, that's good, Jason. We can all make it. Yeah, stick with it, voiceover family. Good words, Jason. Thank you. Sandra checking in from my favorite state and just outside my favorite city, Worthington, Ohio, just outside of Columbus. Let's see here. Alexis checking in from West Dallas-Fort Worth. Paul in Arkansas. Howdy, Paul. Hey, Kale. Good morning from the great state of Washington. Mary from Lisle, Illinois says, thank you for your time and efforts. Thank you, Mary. Hey, Corey in Wisconsin. Ronan, hello from Ireland. Can't believe this is your last week, Bill. Thanks a million for all your videos over the years. They have been invaluable to me. I truly appreciate your time and hard work. Thank you. Hey, Ronan, thank you very much. And it just made me think, when you mentioned Ireland, made me think I was watching I like to watch these YouTube videos of Premier Guitar where they go back and they talk to the guitar techs, the famous guitarists. And last night I was watching The Edge of U2, his guitar tech talking about all his guitars and showing them. He's got he tours with I think 49 guitars. Can you imagine being the tech that's responsible for all that, having them tuned up and crazy, changing strings and all that nutty stuff? Mike, what's going on in Toronto? Thanks for all you've done, Bill. I hope you'll get to sleep in a bit longer in the morning. Mike, you can count on it. Not a lot. I'll probably sleep till 8 and get up at 8. As usually I get up about a quarter after 7. So I'll get a little bit more sleep. Hey, Beth says, thank you so much for your encouragement and care. I will let you know when I get my first VO job. That's fantastic, Beth. Glad to hear that. Thank you. Theo says, good morning from the kitchen table in, got to move back here. This is moving on me. Lovely Palos Hills. I saw the podcast link in the Facebook group yesterday and can't wait to listen. Thank you for everything, Bill. Theo, thank you. You've been a great cheerleader. I mean, you're my main hype man. I appreciate you. Mary, what's going on in New Jersey? Good to see you as always. Hey, Phil in Tokyo, time to go back and watch these hundreds of videos again. Yeah, 1,400, but who's counting? I was trying to think the other day, how much time is spent recording 1,400 videos? A lot. That's all I know. We've got Keith. Did I say, hey, Ralph, I don't think I said hello to you in the Golden Nuggets, for your Golden Nuggets of VO. That's Ralph from Fresno. Thank you, Ralph. Keith in Renton, Washington. Andrew says, thanks for your encouraging words. Thank you, Andrew. Hey, Denise, what's going on Long Island? Wally, always keeping us on point. Thank you, Bill. In Annapolis, thank you, Wally. Jackson, good morning from Salt Lake City, Utah. Thank you as always for everything you do. Thanks, Jackson. Honey Lee says, oh no, he's not doing the channel anymore. Sorry, late. As of Monday morning, the channel's not disappearing. Mike Cathcart will be here on Monday to continue on. Mike's a great guy. And Mike, came through the voiceover blueprint years ago, and he has a successful voiceover business himself. And he's a coach within the voiceover blueprint. So he's been on my faculty for years now. And so he is well qualified and prepared to do his thing starting on Monday. So I hope this is not about the channel going away. This is just about me going away. It will continue on. Brandon in Oregon. Karen, will you still be in business? Oh, yeah, I'm still in business. Still in business. Thanks for asking, Karen. Charisse, what's going on in the high desert? Good to see you this morning. Hey, Samuel, looking forward to meeting you one day. Samuel, I hope so. I will look forward to that as well. GS says, I wouldn't be doing this full time today if it wasn't for you and the blueprint, Bill. Thank you. GS, thank you so much. That right there, that's what makes it all worthwhile. Oh, the spider says he actually has a name. It's Andrew. All right, Andrew. Fantastic. I think it was you're checking in from South Korea, right? Andrew, click the thumbs up if you like the content. Thanks, Andrew. Hey, Daisha, good morning. Alan says, good. Man, we've got almost 100 people on this morning. And about half of you have given it the thumbs up. If you like the content and you want to make sure more people see it, take a second, if you would, just to click that thumbs up or smash that thumbs up if you would be willing to do that. It's even better. Smash is better than a click, right? Let's see. Alan, did I acknowledge you? Thanks for all your guidance videos. Just completed my first audiobook. Alan, for you. Let's see here. Jim says, yeah, if you're into music, check out the Wrecking Crew documentary or video. Yeah, man, I love all that stuff. There's so many great. I love all that stuff. Chris, who works on the back end of the voiceover blueprint, who's watching the video right now, he and I exchange music documentaries that we like, and I think we've seen just about all of them at this point. I can't get enough of that stuff. Brandon says, I just found your material yesterday. Sad to hear you're backing down. I have a call booked for today with Frank. I want to talk with you to see if my voice is too high for voiceover. Well, I can tell you right now, it's not. I haven't heard you, and it's not. Because there's demand for everything. It's not about having a too high or too low voice. It's about how well you communicate. Kale, this is an inspiring channel. I hope you aren't going to stop it. Nope, the channel will continue on. Hey, Edward. Thanks, Bill, for everything. Appreciate you sharing all the training and real-world expertise you've shared. Invaluable. Thanks, Edward. Let's see here. Andrew says smash is probably a better call to action than just click. Yeah, and it's been so overused. And James checking in from Finland. Hey, guys, thanks for being here as always. You're the best. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's our Q&A. So I'll try to, squeeze in as many as I can in our time together. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day.